The notification chimed, a harmless little sound that would end up destroying my life. I was blow-drying my hair, getting ready for work, when I glanced at my phone and saw the message from Ava. "Is this you?" She'd attached a screenshot of a dating profile. I squinted at it, confused, then nearly dropped my phone into the sink. My face stared back at me. My face! On a profile I'd never created. "What the hell?" I whispered, fingers trembling as I zoomed in. The profile name read Mackenzie After Hours with a bio that made my stomach turn. Executive assistant by day, whatever you want by night. Married men welcome, I know how to be discreet. I sat down hard on the edge of the bathtub, my legs suddenly unable to support me. The blow dryer clattered to the floor, still humming against the tile. I couldn't breathe. 3 more photos of me followed. One from the company Christmas party in a black dress I'd saved for months to buy. Another from a beach trip last summer, laughing with Diego. The third was from my Instagram, me at my desk, captioned with a joke about needing more coffee. I called Ava immediately. "Where did you find this?" My voice sounded strange, like it belonged to someone else. "London sent it to me. She said she was on this app and recognized you." "London? Freya's friend. My boss's wife's friend." "I didn't make this profile," I said. "Someone's using my pictures." "I figured," Ava said. "It seemed way off-brand for you. But Mac, it's been active for weeks. London said she's seen conversations from this account." The bathroom suddenly felt too small. I walked to the bedroom where Diego was still sleeping, his dark hair messy against the pillow, one arm flung across what had been my side of the bed minutes earlier. "What conversations?" I whispered, moving to the hallway. "Flirty ones. With married men. Including..." She hesitated. "Including who, Ava?" "Flynn. My boss. My married boss. Married to Freya." "That's impossible," I said, but even as the words left my mouth, pieces started clicking into place. The strange looks from coworkers, Flynn's sudden coolness toward me after months of mentoring. The way Freya had watched me at the office party last week, her eyes following me across the room. "I need to see these conversations," I said. "London's sending them to me now. I'll forward everything." I ended the call and leaned against the wall, trying to think through the fog of panic. Who would do this? Who had access to my photos? Who would want to destroy my reputation this way? The bedroom door opened and Diego appeared, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "Everything okay?" "I heard you talking." I showed him my phone wordlessly, watched his expression change as he scrolled through the screenshots. "What the hell, Mackenzie?" His voice hardened. "Is this real?" "Of course not." I grabbed the phone back. "Someone made this profile using my pictures. I would never..." "Then why does it have conversations from you? With your boss?" He was fully awake now, eyes narrowed. "What? Let me see." I hadn't gotten to those yet. Diego pulled up his own phone. "London sent these to me an hour ago. I was hoping you'd have an explanation." My heart stopped. London had sent these to Diego? Before Ava even told me? The messages were there on his screen. Explicit. Unmistakable. My profile picture next to words I'd never written, arranging meetings I'd never attended with my boss. "Diego, this isn't me. Someone set me up." His face had gone cold in a way I'd never seen before. "I've been watching you work late for months, taking calls at odd hours. I trusted you." Because there was nothing to distrust. Flynn's been mentoring me for the executive program. You know how important that is to me. Apparently not as important as sleeping with him. "I'm not sleeping with anyone but you." My voice rose, desperation clawing at my throat. Diego was already pulling a duffel bag from the closet. "I need some time. I can't do this right now." "Do what? Believe me? Trust me? After 3 years together, you think I'd do this?" He stuffed clothes into the bag without looking at me. "The messages go back 2 months, Mackenzie. They're detailed. They mention things about the office only you would know." I felt like I was drowning. Someone is framing me. It has to be Freya. She's always hated me. Diego zipped the bag closed. Freya? Flynn's wife? Why would she pretend you're sleeping with her husband? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. He walked past me toward the door. Call me when you're ready to tell the truth. The apartment door closed behind him with a soft click that somehow hurt more than if he'd slammed it. My phone buzzed with Ava's forwarded messages. More screenshots, more evidence of things I'd never done. I scrolled through them, nausea rising in my throat, until I saw something that made everything click. A tiny detail in one of the messages. A reference to Freya's favorite restaurant, one she'd mentioned in passing at a company event months ago. Only someone close to Freya would know that. Someone who wanted to destroy me. I grabbed my keys. I needed to confront Freya before this spread any further. As I rushed out the door, my phone buzzed again. A text from Flynn. We need to talk. My office, 9 a.m. sharp. The office felt different as I walked in, like everyone knew something I didn't. Conversations stopped when I passed. Eyes followed me, then darted away when I looked back. I kept my chin up, clutching my coffee cup so tightly I was surprised it didn't shatter. 9 o'clock, Flynn's office, 20 minutes to go. Ava intercepted me at my desk, her eyes wide with concern. Are you okay? You look like hell. Diego left this morning, I said, my voice flat. After seeing those messages. Oh, Mac. She squeezed my arm. He'll come around once he realizes you were set up. Will he? Because right now I'm not sure anyone believes me. I glanced around the office. Including Flynn. What did he say in his text? Just that we need to talk, which is corporate speak for you're screwed. I dropped my bag under my desk. I need to see Freya before I meet with him. Freya's here? Ava looked surprised. She never comes to the office. Exactly, but her car is in the parking garage. I recognized the vanity plate. I'd spent the entire train ride to work obsessing over why Freya would frame me. We'd always been cordial, professional, even friendly at company events. She'd never given any indication she saw me as a threat. I need to find her before my meeting, I said, standing up. Cover for me? Ava nodded, but her expression was troubled. Just be careful, okay? This whole thing feels calculated. I found Freya in the executive lounge, perched on a leather sofa with a tablet in her lap. She looked up when I entered, her face a perfect mask of polite surprise. Mackenzie, good morning. Why did you do it? I asked, keeping my voice low despite the empty room. She tilted her head slightly. Do what, exactly? Create a fake dating profile with my pictures. Pretend to be me. Send messages to your husband. Freya set her tablet aside, her movements deliberate. That's quite an accusation. It's not an accusation. It's a fact. I stepped closer. The profile mentioned your favorite restaurant, the one in the West Village with the truffle pasta you talked about at the Christmas party. No one else would know that detail. Something flickered across her face. Surprise, maybe, at being caught in such a small slip. But she recovered quickly. I have no idea what you're talking about, she said, standing. But I do know my husband received inappropriate messages from you. Messages that London showed me weeks ago, which I chose to ignore out of respect for Flynn's working relationship with you. Those weren't from me. The evidence suggests otherwise. Her voice was silk over steel. Flynn trusted you. I trusted you in my home at our dinner parties, and this is how you repay that trust? My hands were shaking. You're turning this around. You created that profile to make it look like I was pursuing Flynn. I want to know why. Freya's smile never reached her eyes. Perhaps you should consider that not everything is a conspiracy against you, Mackenzie. Sometimes people simply show their true colors. My true colors? I've worked 80-hour weeks for this company. I've canceled dates with Diego to finish projects. Yes, your poor boyfriend. Her tone shifted to something almost like pity. London mentioned he didn't take the news well. The realization hit me like a physical blow. You made sure London sent those screenshots to Diego, didn't you? You wanted to destroy my relationship too. Freya checked her watch. I believe you have a meeting with my husband in 5 minutes. I wouldn't keep him waiting. I wanted to scream, to grab her by the shoulders and shake the truth out of her. Instead, I took a deep breath. This isn't over, I said quietly. For you? I think it might be. She picked up her tablet and walked past me, the scent of her expensive perfume lingering in the air. Flynn was waiting when I arrived at his office, his face unreadable as he gestured for me to sit. I'd rehearsed what to say a dozen times, but the words evaporated when I saw the printouts on his desk, screenshots of conversations I'd never had. I didn't send those messages, I said before he could speak. Someone created a fake profile using my photos. Flynn leaned back in his chair. Mackenzie, I've always appreciated your directness. I'm asking for the same courtesy now. I am being direct. I'm being framed, and I think Freya is behind it. His expression hardened. You're accusing my wife of creating a fake profile to impersonate you? To what end? I don't know yet, but those messages aren't from me. Flynn pushed the papers toward me. These contain references to conversations we've had in this office. Private conversations about the executive program, about your career goals. Things only you and I would know. My stomach dropped. That's not possible. It's right here. He tapped the page. Details about the London expansion I mentioned to you last month. Information about the Harrison account that hasn't been made public. I felt the walls closing in. Someone had access to information from my private meetings with Flynn. Someone who knew what we discussed. I need you to take a leave of absence, Flynn said, his voice softening slightly. Paid, while we sort this out. HR will be involved. Flynn, please. It's not negotiable. He stood up, signaling the end of our meeting. I trusted you, Mackenzie. More than you know. As I walked out, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Meet me at Blackbird Coffee at noon. I know who set you up. Come alone. Ezekiel. Ezekiel from accounting? The quiet guy who barely spoke at meetings? I glanced back at Flynn's office, where Freya had now appeared, her hand on her husband's shoulder as they spoke in low voices. Whatever game they were playing, I needed answers. And apparently, Ezekiel had them. Blackbird Coffee buzzed with the usual midday crowd. Laptops open, business meetings in hushed tones, baristas calling out complicated orders. I scanned the room twice before spotting Ezekiel in the far corner, hunched over his phone. I'd never paid much attention to him before. He was just the quiet guy from accounting who occasionally corrected Flynn's numbers during presentations. Now he might be my only ally. You came, he said as I slid into the chair across from him. No greeting, no small talk. You said you know who set me up. I kept my voice low. Was it Freya? Ezekiel glanced around before sliding his phone toward me. Not exactly. Look at this. It was an email chain between Flynn and Ava from 3 weeks ago. My heart stuttered as I read it. Where did you get this? I asked, my mouth dry. I handle the executive expense reports. Flynn accidentally forwarded this to me when submitting a receipt. He tapped the screen. Keep reading. The emails discussed me. My performance, my potential, and my inappropriate attachment to Flynn. Ava had written that I talked about Flynn constantly, that I stayed late hoping to catch time alone with him. This is bullshit, I whispered. Ava would never say these things about me. She did. Ezekiel's face remained impassive. And there's more. She's been feeding information to Freya for months. Details from your conversations, things you've told her in confidence. The coffee shop suddenly felt too warm, too crowded. Ava, my friend, the person I'd trusted most at work, the one I'd confided in just this morning. Why would she do this? The executive program. Ezekiel took his phone back. You're not the only one who wants that promotion. Ava's been gunning for it too. I thought back to all our conversations about work, about Flynn. How Ava always seemed interested in my meetings with him, always asked for details. I'd thought she was being supportive. But the dating profile, that was Freya's idea, from what I can tell. Ava just provided the ammunition. My hands were shaking. I clasped them together under the table. How do you know all this? Something flickered across Ezekiel's face. Discomfort, maybe. I notice things. People don't pay attention to the quiet guy from accounting. They talk around me, leave their computers unlocked. Why are you helping me? He hesitated. They did something similar to my sister at her company. She never recovered professionally, never even knew who was behind it. I studied his face, looking for any sign of deception. Found none. I need proof, I said finally. Something concrete I can take to HR, to Flynn. That's the problem. They've been careful. The profile was created using a VPN. The messages came from burner accounts. Then what am I supposed to do? Just let them destroy my career? My relationship? My voice cracked on the last word. Diego still wasn't answering my calls. Ezekiel leaned forward. You need to beat them at their own game. Set a trap. What kind of trap? Feed Ava false information, something significant that would only come from you, then wait to see where it goes. It was so simple it might actually work. I felt the first flicker of hope since this nightmare began. I need to think about this, I said, standing up. Thank you, Ezekiel. He nodded once, already turning back to his phone. Be careful who you trust, Mackenzie. Outside, I checked my messages. 3 missed calls from Ava. Nothing from Diego. I walked aimlessly for a while, trying to process this new betrayal. Ava, who'd held my hair back when I got food poisoning at the company retreat. Ava, who'd helped me pick out the dress for my first date with Diego. Ava, who'd apparently been sabotaging me all along. My phone rang again. Ava. This time, I answered. Where are you? She asked. I've been worried sick. The concern in her voice sounded so genuine it made my stomach turn. Just needed some air, I said, keeping my tone neutral. It's been a rough morning. I bet. Everyone's talking about your meeting with Flynn. She paused. Did he fire you? Was that hope I heard in her voice? No, paid leave while they investigate. I took a deep breath. Actually, can you meet me after work? I need to talk to you about something important. Of course. Anything you need. There's this new project Flynn mentioned before. Everything happened. Something big with the Singapore office. The lie came surprisingly easily. I think it might be my way back in. Singapore? He never mentioned that in the executive briefings. It's still confidential. I'll tell you more tonight. I ended the call and leaned against a building, suddenly exhausted. The trap was set. Now I just had to wait. My phone buzzed with a text from Diego. I'm coming by to get more of my things. Will you be home later? No. How are you? No, let's talk. Just logistics for our unraveling life. I typed back, yes. Please let me explain everything. His response came quickly. There's nothing to explain. London showed me more messages today. Things you couldn't possibly know unless you were involved with Flynn. London again. Always London. Something clicked in my mind. I'd only met London twice at company events, but both times she'd been glued to Freya's side. They were supposedly old friends, but what if there was more to it? What if London wasn't just Freya's messenger, but her partner in this setup? I pulled up London's Instagram profile, scrolling through months of posts. There, a photo from 6 months ago. London and Freya at a tech conference, arms around each other. The caption, working with my favorite person, your power couple, Sarah, behind the scenes. Working together? Freya didn't work. She was a socialite, a charity board member. Unless this was her work. Unless destroying me was just their latest project. I took a screenshot and sent it to Ezekiel with a question. What if they've done this before? His response was immediate. Already looking into it. Meet tomorrow, same place. I think you're on to something. For the first time since seeing that dating profile, I felt a surge of something other than despair. Something that felt dangerously like the desire for revenge. Diego was already packing when I got home. The sight of his suitcase open on our bed, the bed we'd picked out together at that overpriced furniture store, arguing playfully about firm versus soft mattresses, made my chest ache. "You're really leaving," I said from the doorway. He didn't look up. "I told you I was coming for my things." "Diego, please, just listen to me for 5 minutes." His hand stilled on a folded sweater. "What's left to say? I've seen the messages, Mackenzie. I've seen the pictures." "Pictures?" My blood went cold. "What pictures?" He finally looked at me, his expression a mixture of hurt and disgust. "Don't pretend you don't know. London showed me everything." "London is lying. She and Freya are setting me up." I stepped into the room. Think about it. Why would this woman you've met maybe twice suddenly contact you with all this evidence? Doesn't that seem suspicious? Diego ran a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it made my heart hurt. "You know what seems suspicious? You working late every night for months. You being secretive about your meetings with Flynn. You deleting texts when I walk into the room. What? I've never deleted texts around you." "I've seen you do it, Mackenzie. Multiple times." I racked my brain, trying to understand what he'd seen. Then it hit me. The texts from my mother about her health issues, the ones I didn't want to worry him with. I'd been deleting those because they stressed me out, not because I was hiding an affair. "That wasn't—" I started, but Diego cut me off. "Save it. I'm done with the lies." He zipped the suitcase closed with finality. "I just need to know one thing. Was it worth it? Throwing away 3 years for a promotion?" The injustice of it burned in my throat. "I didn't throw away anything. I'm being framed, and you're too stubborn to even consider that possibility." "Right. Everyone's conspiring against you." He lifted the suitcase off the bed. "Your boss's wife, her friend, probably the whole office. Everyone except Perfect Mackenzie." "Not everyone," I said quietly. "Just Freya, London, and apparently Ava." Something in my tone must have gotten through to him because he paused at the door. "Ava? Your friend Ava? She's been feeding them information about me. Private things I told her in confidence." Saying it out loud made it real in a way that hurt all over again. Diego's expression softened slightly. "How do you know that?" "Ezekiel from accounting showed me emails. She's after the same promotion I am." He set the suitcase down, conflict visible on his face. "That doesn't explain the pictures, Mac." "What pictures, Diego? Please, just show me." After a moment's hesitation, he pulled out his phone and opened his messages. "London sent these yesterday." I took the phone, my hands trembling. The first image showed me entering what looked like a hotel, Flynn's hand on the small of my back. The second showed us in what appeared to be a restaurant, leaning close in conversation. "These are from the executive retreat in Chicago 2 months ago," I said, relief washing over me. "The whole team was there. That hotel is the conference center where we had meetings all day. And this restaurant? It was a team dinner. Ava was sitting right across from us." I scrolled to the third photo and froze. It showed Flynn and me embracing in what looked like an intimate moment. "This isn't what it looks like," I said quickly. This was when Flynn told me my presentation had secured the Harrison account. It was a congratulatory hug, nothing more. Diego took the phone back, his expression unreadable. "Maybe. Or maybe that's just how you've justified it to yourself." "What does that mean?" "It means maybe you didn't physically cheat, but emotionally. The way you talk about Flynn, the way your face lights up when he calls or texts. That's not normal for just a boss, Mackenzie." His words hit me like a slap. Had I been too invested in Flynn's approval? Had my ambition blinded me to how it looked to others? To Diego? "I admire him professionally," I said carefully. "That's all it's ever been." Diego picked up his suitcase again. "I need time to think. I'm staying at Jason's for a while." "Will you at least consider that I'm telling the truth about being set up?" He paused at the door. I'll look into London, see if anything about her story doesn't add up. It wasn't forgiveness or even belief, but it was something. Thank you. After he left, I sat on the edge of our bed, emotionally drained but more determined than ever. I pulled out my laptop and started searching for anything I could find on London Gibson. My phone buzzed with a text from Ava. Still meeting tonight? I'm worried about you. I typed back, yes, 7 p.m. at Riverside Bar. Her response came quickly. Perfect. We'll figure this out together, I promise. I set my phone down, a bitter taste in my mouth. My best friend, my boyfriend, my career. They'd taken almost everything from me. Almost. 2 hours of digging later, I had something. London Gibson had worked at 3 different companies in the past 5 years. At each one, a female employee had been fired for inappropriate conduct with a superior. Conduct documented through dating apps and private messages. I was calling Ezekiel when my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone, and for a moment I hoped it might be Diego coming back. Instead, I found Flynn standing in my hallway looking uncomfortable. Can I come in? He asked. There's something you need to know. I stepped aside wordlessly, my heart pounding. Flynn had never been to my apartment before. He declined my offer of a drink and got straight to the point. HR completed their initial review of the messages allegedly sent from your accounts. And? I held my breath. The technical team confirmed they were sent from an IP address matching your home network. The room seemed to tilt. That's impossible. I never sent those messages. Flynn's expression was grave. The evidence suggests otherwise, Mackenzie. Unless someone else has been using your home internet. A cold realization washed over me. Someone else had been in my apartment. Someone with access. Diego, I whispered. Diego has been here every night. Flynn raised an eyebrow. You think your boyfriend is framing you for having an affair with me? Why would he do that? Not Diego, I said, my mind racing. Someone else. Someone who's been here when I wasn't. I thought about all the times Ava had stopped by to water my plants when Diego and I were out of town. How she had a spare key for emergencies. How she wanted my promotion. Flynn was watching me closely. The board is meeting tomorrow to discuss next steps. If you have any evidence that someone else is behind this, now's the time. Tomorrow? I echoed. That's not enough time. It's all I could get you. He moved toward the door, then hesitated. For what it's worth, I want to believe you, Mackenzie. After he left, I checked the time. 6:30 p.m., 30 minutes until I was supposed to meet Ava. I texted Ezekiel. Need to move faster. They're using my home network to frame me. Board meeting tomorrow. His response was immediate. Don't confront Ava yet. We need more proof. I'm working on something big. But I was done waiting. Done being reactive. If Ava wanted to play games, I'd show her I could play too. I grabbed my keys and headed out. A new plan forming. Tonight, I'd get my so-called friend to reveal her true colors, and I'd make sure I had proof when she did. Riverside Bar hummed with after-work energy, clinking glasses, bursts of laughter, the low murmur of conversations meant to stay private. I arrived early and chose a corner table with my back to the wall, where I could see the entrance. The server brought me a gin and tonic I had no intention of drinking. I placed my phone face up on the table, the voice recorder app running. Not admissible in court, maybe, but enough to convince Flynn and HR of the truth. Ava arrived at 7:05, scanning the room with a concerned expression that looked so genuine it made my stomach turn. 3 years of friendship, and I'd never once suspected she was capable of this level of betrayal. There you are, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. God, you look terrible. Thanks, I said dryly. It's been a rough couple of days. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I can't believe they put you on leave. The whole office is talking about it. I bet they are, I thought, but kept my expression neutral. Flynn came to my apartment today. Apparently, the messages to him came from my home network. Ava's eyes widened. That's impossible. Unless, she hesitated. Unless what? Unless someone has been using your Wi-Fi? A neighbor, maybe? I took a calculated risk. Or someone with a key to my apartment. Something flickered across her face. Alarm, quickly masked. Who has keys besides you and Diego? Just you, I said, watching her carefully. For plant watering emergencies, remember? She laughed, but it sounded forced. Are you seriously suggesting I snuck into your apartment to send dirty messages to Flynn from your network? That's insane, Mac. Is it? Because someone did exactly that. Ava took a long sip of her drink, her eyes never leaving mine. Look, I know you're desperate for an explanation, but this conspiracy theory is a stretch. Even for you. Even for me? I repeated. What does that mean? She sighed, setting down her glass. It means you've always had a flair for drama. Remember when you thought the creative team was stealing your ideas? Or when you were convinced Flynn was going to fire you for that typo in the quarterly report? That's different. Is it? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're creating elaborate explanations instead of facing facts. What facts? I leaned forward. The fact that someone created a fake dating profile with my pictures? The fact that someone sent messages from my home network when I wasn't home? The fact that you've been obsessed with Flynn since he started mentoring you, she countered. The fact that you talk about him constantly, cancel plans to work late with him, light up like a Christmas tree whenever he texts you. Her words echoed Diego's so closely it felt rehearsed. Had they been talking behind my back? I'm ambitious, I said carefully. That doesn't mean I'm sleeping with my boss. No one's saying you are, but maybe there's a line between ambition and obsession that you've been blurring. I took a deep breath, reminding myself of the plan. I needed her to incriminate herself, not derail me with psychological warfare. You know what? Maybe you're right. I slumped slightly, letting defeat creep into my voice. Maybe I have been too focused on impressing Flynn. Ava's posture relaxed, sensing victory. It happens, especially with mentor relationships. The Singapore project was going to be my big break, I continued, laying the bait. Flynn said it could fast-track me to the executive team. Interest flashed in her eyes. You mentioned that earlier. What exactly is this project? A new regional headquarters. Flynn wants someone to relocate there for 6 months to get it running. He was considering me before all this. 6 months in Singapore? Ava leaned forward. That's a huge opportunity. It would have been. I sighed dramatically. Now it'll probably go to someone else. Did Flynn mention any other candidates? And there it was. The real Ava, hungry for advantage, calculating her next move. He mentioned a short list. I don't remember everyone on it. Was I on it? She asked, trying to sound casual and failing miserably. I hesitated just long enough to make her squirm. I think so, near the bottom. Her smile tightened. Well, maybe things happen for a reason. Maybe this is the universe course correcting. What's that supposed to mean? Just that maybe the position should go to someone who's earned it through hard work, not through other means. The implication hung in the air between us. I felt a surge of anger so intense my vision blurred at the edges. You think I slept my way to the top of that list? Ava shrugged. I'm just saying the evidence doesn't look good. Those messages, the dating profile, the late nights, where there's smoke. There's a fire, I finished. Or someone with a match. Her expression hardened. Careful, Mackenzie. Accusations like that can damage relationships. Permanently. Is that a threat? It's advice, from a friend who cares about you. She glanced at her watch. I should go. Early meeting tomorrow. With the board, I thought. About me. One more thing, I said as she gathered her purse. How well do you know London? Ava froze for a split second, just long enough to confirm my suspicions. Flynn's wife's friend? I've met her a few times at company events. Why? Just curious. She seems to be at the center of all this, sending screenshots to Diego, to you, to Freya. Maybe she's just being a good friend to Freya. Ava stood up. Get some rest, Mac. You look like you need it. As she walked away, my phone buzzed with a text from Ezekiel. Don't go home. Your apartment isn't secure. Meet me at the office now, bringing London's laptop. You need to see this. I stared at the message, adrenaline surging through me. How had Ezekiel gotten London's laptop? And what had he found? I threw cash on the table and headed for the door, only to stop short at the sight of Ava outside, huddled in intense conversation with someone in a parked car. London. I ducked back inside and exited through the kitchen, heart pounding. Whatever game they were playing, it was bigger and more coordinated than I'd imagined. And tomorrow, the board would decide my fate based on evidence planted by people I'd trusted, unless I could stop them tonight. The office building was eerily quiet after hours, emergency lights casting long shadows across the lobby. The security guard nodded as I badged in. He knew me from all my late nights. If only those extra hours had bought me some loyalty when it mattered. I took the elevator to our floor, my reflection in the polished doors looking haggard and unfamiliar. When had I last slept properly? Eaten something that wasn't coffee or anxiety? Ezekiel was waiting in the conference room, his laptop open, a sleek MacBook beside it that I assumed was London's. How did you get her computer? I asked without preamble. She left it in her car. I borrowed it. His expression remained neutral, as if breaking into cars was a normal Tuesday activity. You stole it? I'm returning it tomorrow, but first... He turned the screen toward me. You need to see what they've been doing. The screen showed a folder labeled Projects, containing subfolders with women's names. My stomach dropped when I saw my own name among them. What is this? Evidence. Ezekiel opened my folder. Inside were all the fake dating profile screenshots, the manufactured conversations with Flynn, photos of me from social media, and a document titled MackenziePlan.docx. My hands shook as I opened it. The document outlined a detailed strategy for discrediting me professionally and personally, with a timeline stretching back 3 months. Every move had been calculated. When to plant seeds of doubt with Diego, when to approach Flynn with concerns, when to escalate to HR. I couldn't find words strong enough. Premeditated character assassination, Ezekiel supplied. And you're not the first. He clicked back to the main folder and opened another name. Vanessa. Similar contents. Different woman. Then Julia. Then Rebecca. 5 women in total, he said quietly. All rising stars in their companies, all accused of inappropriate relationships with male superiors, all discredited and fired. But why? What did they get out of this? Ezekiel pulled up a spreadsheet. Money. After each woman is removed, London's consulting firm is hired to repair the company culture and implement anti-harassment training. 6-figure contracts every time. And Freya? Silent partner. She provides access to high-level executives through her social connections. They split the profits. What about Ava? Promised the promotion you were in line for, plus a finder's fee for identifying you as a target. The betrayal burned fresh. I'd helped Ava practice for her interviews, celebrated her successes, held her hand through breakups. And all along, she'd been plotting my downfall. We need to take this to Flynn, I said, reaching for my phone. Ezekiel caught my wrist. Think, Mackenzie. Flynn's married to Freya. Who do you think he'll believe? He'll believe evidence, hard proof. Stolen evidence that would be inadmissible in any legal proceeding? That we obtained by breaking into someone's car? He was right, and I knew it. We couldn't use this directly without implicating ourselves. Then what's the point of showing me? I asked, frustration building. Why bring me here if we can't use any of this? Because now you know what you're up against. And he turned back to his own laptop. Because I found something else. Something we can use. He showed me an email chain between London and a woman named Vanessa, one of their previous targets. Vanessa recorded a conversation with London last year, threatening to expose their scheme. London paid her off. $200,000 to stay quiet and sign an NDA. So, Vanessa knows everything? Can we contact her? Already did. Ezekiel looked almost proud. She's willing to talk, but only in person. She's scared of legal repercussions from breaking the NDA. Hope flickered, then faltered. The board meets tomorrow morning. There's no time to wait. She lives in Boston. If we leave now, we can drive there, meet her at 6 a.m., and be back for your 10 a.m. board meeting. We? I echoed. I'm already involved. He shrugged. Might as well see it through. I studied him, this quiet man from accounting who'd put himself at risk for someone he barely knew. Why are you helping me, really? Something shifted in his expression, a crack in his usual composure. I told you about my sister. What I didn't tell you is that she killed herself 6 months after being fired. The shame, the isolation, it was too much. The weight of his words hung between us. I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. Be smart and be ready to fight. He closed both laptops. We should go now if we want to make it to Boston by morning. As we headed toward the elevator, my phone buzzed with a text from Diego. We need to talk. Where are you? I hesitated, then typed, Can't talk now. Something important came up. I'll explain everything tomorrow. His response was immediate. There might not be a tomorrow for us if you keep avoiding this conversation. The words stung, but I didn't have time for emotional negotiations. Not when my entire future hung in the balance. I'm fighting for the truth, Diego. Either trust me on that, or don't. I turned my phone to silent as we reached the parking garage. Ezekiel's car was small and meticulously clean, just like him. Ready? He asked, keys in hand. I nodded, pushing thoughts of Diego aside. Let's go get our witness. As we pulled out of the garage, I spotted a familiar car parked across the street, Ava's red Prius. She was watching the building, probably waiting to see if I'd show up after our meeting. Duck down, I told Ezekiel. We're being watched. He complied without question, accelerating past her car before she could spot us. She'll know we were here, I said once we were clear. Security keeps logs of who badges in after hours. Then we better make this trip count, Ezekiel replied grimly. Because tomorrow it's all or nothing. I leaned back against the headrest, exhaustion warring with determination. 4 hours to Boston, 2 hours with Vanessa, 4 hours back. Then the board meeting that would either salvage my career or end it permanently. No pressure. The boardroom felt like a courtroom as I walked in. 12 pairs of eyes tracking my entrance, expressions ranging from curiosity to outright hostility. Flynn sat at the head of the table, Freya beside him, her hand resting possessively on his arm. Ava was there too, seated among the executives like she belonged. I was 10 minutes early, but they were all already waiting. An ambush then. Mackenzie, Flynn said, his voice carefully neutral. Thank you for joining us. I took the only empty seat directly across from Freya. Her smile was razor-thin, victorious. She thought this was over. Before we begin, Flynn continued, I want to clarify that this is not a formal disciplinary hearing. We're here to discuss the situation and determine next steps. Translation. We've already decided you're guilty. We're just debating the punishment. I appreciate that, I said, keeping my voice steady. And I appreciate the opportunity to present my side. Freya's smile faltered slightly. She hadn't expected composure. She'd expected desperation. Flynn nodded to HR Director Janet, who cleared her throat. We have evidence of inappropriate communications between you and Flynn spanning approximately 3 months. These communications violate company policy regarding workplace relationships, particularly between managers and direct reports. I understand the seriousness of these allegations, I said, but I did not send those messages. I did not create that dating profile. I am being framed. A ripple of uncomfortable glances around the table. No one wanted to hear this. That's a serious accusation, Janet said. Do you have evidence to support it? I opened my bag and removed a sealed envelope. I do. The drive to Boston had been a blur of caffeine and anxiety, but Vanessa had been everything we'd hoped for. articulate, credible, and furious at what had been done to her. She'd provided a sworn statement detailing London and Freya's scheme, along with copies of bank statements showing the hush money payment. "What I have here is testimony from another victim of this same scam," I said, sliding the envelope toward Janet. "Vanessa Morris was systematically discredited and fired from Apex Solutions last year, using the exact same playbook being used against me." Janet opened the envelope, scanning the contents with increasing alarm. Flynn leaned forward, his expression unreadable. "This is a serious allegation," he repeated, reaching for the documents. "It gets worse," I said, my heart pounding but my voice steady. "The people behind this scam are London Gibson and—" I met Freya's eyes directly. "Your wife." The room went silent. Freya's face drained of color, then flushed with anger. "This is absurd," she snapped. "Flynn, are you going to allow this?" Flynn was reading Vanessa's statement, his expression darkening with each page. "These are very specific allegations, Freya. Bank transfers, meeting dates, recorded conversations. Fabricated, obviously," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. "This woman is desperate to save her job." "I'm desperate for the truth," I corrected, "and I'm not the only one they've targeted." I nodded to the door, where Ezekiel stood with his laptop. He entered silently, placing it on the table. "This presentation contains evidence of 5 similar cases," he explained, opening a slideshow. 5 women, 5 companies, 5 identical scenarios. Each time, the woman is fired for inappropriate conduct. Each time, London's consulting firm is hired afterward for cultural remediation. Each time, they profit. The board members leaned forward, watching as Ezekiel methodically laid out the pattern. Dates, companies, victims, payouts. The evidence was circumstantial but compelling in its consistency. Freya's composure cracked. "This is a witch hunt. You have no proof I'm involved in any of this." "Actually," came a voice from the doorway. "She does." We all turned to see Diego standing there, holding his phone. My heart stuttered at the sight of him. "Diego?" Flynn frowned. "This is a closed meeting. I have something you need to hear." He approached the table, placing his phone in the center. "I recorded a conversation with London Gibson last night." He pressed play, and London's voice filled the room. Of course Mackenzie didn't really sleep with Flynn. That was never the point. The point was making everyone believe she did. Freya's brilliant that way. She knows perception is reality in corporate America. Freya stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. "That's not— He's clearly edited that recording." Diego continued the playback. "Once Mackenzie's gone, we'll bring in our team to fix the toxic culture. Standard 6-figure contract, maybe more if we play up the scandal angle. Freya gets her cut, I get mine, and Little Miss Perfect gets what she deserves for trying to outshine everyone." The recording ended. Freya looked like she might be sick. "I didn't believe Mackenzie at first," Diego said, looking at me with regret in his eyes. But something about London's eagerness to show me evidence felt off. So I met with her last night, pretending I wanted more information, and I recorded everything. Flynn stood slowly, his expression thunderous as he turned to his wife. "Is this true?" Freya's eyes darted around the room, seeking an ally and finding none. Even Ava had shrunk in her seat, suddenly fascinated by her hands. "It was just business," Freya said finally, her voice cold. "Nothing personal." "It was extremely personal to me," I said, my voice shaking with emotion for the first time. "You tried to destroy my career, my relationship, my reputation. For money." Flynn turned to Janet. "I want security to escort my wife and Ms. Gibson from the building, and call legal immediately." Freya laughed, a brittle sound. "You can't be serious. Flynn, it's me, your wife." "Not for much longer," he said quietly. As security arrived to escort Freya out, she paused beside me. "You think you've won? This isn't over." I met her gaze steadily. "For you, it is." The room erupted in conversation as she left. Executives processing the implications, HR scrambling to contain the damage. Flynn approached me, his expression grave. "Mackenzie, I owe you an apology." A significant one. Yes, you do, I agreed, standing to meet his eyes. But right now I need some air. I walked out, past the stunned executives, past a shell-shocked Ava, into the hallway where Diego waited. For a moment, we just looked at each other, all the hurt and confusion of the past days hanging between us. You recorded her? I said finally. I should have believed you from the start. His voice was rough with emotion. I'm sorry, Mac. I wasn't ready to forgive, not completely, but it was a start. Thank you for being here today. He reached for my hand, hesitantly. Where else would I be? Behind us, the boardroom door opened again as Ezekiel emerged, giving us a small nod of acknowledgement before heading back to his quiet corner of accounting. The storm had passed. The truth was out. And for the first time in days, I could breathe again.